Hey, welcome to Leaving CrazyTown with Finn and Sarah. Today we're going to talk about other ways Sarah's codependent and doesn't respect boundaries. Go, Sarah!
My God!
She's the expert.
Oh my God! Then we were just talking about boundaries, and Finn goes, we're talking about when someone sets a boundary with us. We always talk about how to set boundaries, but sometimes when someone sets a boundary with us, we then
push back.
We try to make it like, no, we don't want that boundary.
Like, we gaslight people and we tell them that the reason why we're doing what we're doing is good for them. Or it's good for the overall, or it's a better way than their way. You know, there's just I've seen a lot of that lately.
All right.
And I said to Sarah, how about for once we talk about respecting boundaries instead of setting them? Because I guarantee you that we all may have done this.
And unfortunately, you know what I immediately said? Oh, I have a great example.
Me.
Great example of not respecting someone's boundaries.
I always say to Sarah, hey Sarah, there's a book for that. And the thing is, let's be real. She has been a therapist for years and she did write a book, but the material came from somewhere.
All right, I'm going to give you guys a quick example.
Okay.
So
Go.
my 23-year-old son moved back home senior year of college, and his room is like a bomb went off, okay? Now, he says to me, just shut the door. Don't look in there, okay? For some reason, up until now, I haven't been able to do that. And so I would go into his room. He'd have laundry everywhere. And I'd say to myself, I'd rationalize, look, I'm going to do a load of laundry. Might as well take his laundry.
So
right?
she's doing laundry when she doesn't need to because she wants to be saying she's doing laundry so she can do his.
Yes.
Just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, so it's one thing to pick the clothes up off the floor and do laundry, which, by the way, he said those aren't dirty, but that's another conversation. But the thing I would do is I would then see like some books out of order or something, or I would see, I don't know, a pile of other stuff. And I'd just start, kind of fixing stuff. Okay, so my son comes home. I'm in my room. He literally walks in my room. He grabs some random objects out of my room and he walks out of my bedroom and he starts placing them around the house.
He's using a visual aid.
He's using a visual. And I go, Bo, what are you doing with my stuff? And he goes, well, I did tell you not to come in my room. And I also told you could just pick up stuff off the floor, but suddenly I can't find the book that was right here. And I couldn't find this and I couldn't find that. So apparently someone thought it was okay to move it around. So I'm letting you know what it's like to have someone come into their room, take shit, and move it around. And you know what? That landed, okay? That landed in a big way.
So I have a question for you. It's a completely separate thing because some people I bet are listening and they're saying, my house, my rules. So, and when I was growing up and other people I know, like I had to keep my room clean. My parents wanted my room clean.
Right.
So do you have any semblance, like is it his room?
Yeah.
Or is that an agreement between parents and children? Like if you're
question.
uncomfortable with his room being dirty, and he lives in the house that you rent, and he's
Right.
your child and he's 23, or you have a roommate, where's the boundary on who gets to decide?
It's a great question. I mean, when he was little, it was one thing. That was kind of teaching him how to take care of his space and all that. But the fact is he's 23. And the only thing that was the complication is there's a closet in his room that has the towels in it. And I think we've discussed this, that we've taken the towels, because I would have to go into his room to get towels. So that's why I was constantly in this kind of activation state and want to do it. So we've worked it out. But no, for me, yes, it's my place, but that's his space. He should be able to do whatever he wants in that space. I ask him to bring out dishes and stuff like that. And I do say to him, is there laundry you want me to do? And now he just throws it out if I'm going to do laundry. So we've worked it out. But what landed for me was the violation he felt of me thinking, I'm rationalizing, I'm just neatening things up. Well, They were things he had in certain locations.
Because he knew where they were.
And he knew where they were.
Yeah.
And so until he came and got that stuff out of him, I literally didn't get it. And that's the thing about boundaries that we're talking about, Finn was talking about, that's so brilliant, is when someone sets a boundary, it's not my job to talk them out of it or to rationalize it. Right. I mean, I guess if you're in a couple, maybe you could negotiate something, I'm thinking hypothetically. But no, when someone sets a clear boundary, it may bring feelings up for us. Yeah. Like it brought feelings up for me of feeling out of control. Now that's my issue. That's got nothing to do with him. So...
Yeah, no, I have, I've been doing this whole project for church group I'm in, and it's about like one of the questions was, what do you like about your friends, or what connects you to certain people? And a big one for me was when I say, so I'm doing a garden in my yard with another family, and primarily my friend Anna's the one that's here working with the kids. And she asked me about where, like, oh, do you mind if I plant this here? And I'll say, I don't want to put anything there. That's an area where I have cookouts and everything.
Right.
She says, okay.
Right.
And asks me if there's a spot, tells me what kind of sunlight we need. Like, there's no pushback. I've had other people in my life where I've been like, oh, I'd rather not, put a bush over there. And then I show up and they've planted a bush in my yard where I asked them not to. Or whatever, like they've decided what's best for me. Like you've decided Bo's books need to be in a better place, even though for him, he's like, okay, this is where that book goes. And I understand, I have different organizational, things and whatever, but it is...
But the disrespect, that's what really landed when you just said that about the bush. Yeah. The disregard and the disrespect for what the other person is saying they need.
Like if you say,
that's huge.
No, I don't like that, or I'd rather this, and somebody says, no, well, you'll like it, you just have to do it, or just try it. Like, to me, that's like gaslighting.
It's dismissive. It's totally dismissive.
And just saying like, well, and the worst too is when someone asks you, and you give them your answer, and they try to convince you that your answer's wrong, or to convince you to get the answer they want. Well, now we're not... To me, that's not good boundaries.
Oh my God, this is so important. These situations come up all the time. And you know what? If we're still learning, we know you guys are still learning, because I am still learning and will be for the rest of my life around this relational stuff. So I want you to think about, what happens when someone sets a clear boundary with you? Do you just accept it, or do you want to negotiate and push back? And then also, how do you feel when you set a boundary and someone's pushing back? So, I mean, we're really looking kind of at the underlying kind of layers of setting boundaries. So just notice that stuff.
And sometimes, like, too, I notice me with food, like, I don't really like tomatoes or eggs. And people will say to me, well, you should because... Or I don't eat that, or whatever. Well, you should because they're good for you because of this. And I'm like, okay, well, like, whatever.
We like what we like.
Yeah, and we're entitled to like what we like.
We are entitled. It's so weird. You just reminded me. I think when we went out to dinner recently, I said I don't eat olives. And people were like shocked that I didn't like olives. It's like, it's okay, I just don't like them. I mean, and then it's like, well, have you tried this kind? Have you tried that?
Yeah. Well, so this is, let's give them a few responses.
Yeah,
so if you're in this situation, like, no, I really don't want this bush planted here. Where would you like it planted?
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Or if you ever decide that you want to eat that particular food, let me know. I have some great recommendations. Or I know what's the best kind, or whatever. Like, you don't like tomatoes. Why? Like, is there something about them? Be curious. And just create the space for your friends and your loved ones and your family to be who they are, where they're at, and then also open to letting them change their mind later by saying, like, oh, if you ever change your mind, I have a recommendation.
Yes.
I hear you.
Yes.
That's interesting. I never liked, or you could relate, like something you never liked or whatever. But
it's really interesting you're saying this thing about the food, because recently someone asked me if I like sushi, and I said, no. I said, I don't eat raw fish. And they're like, well, have you ever tried it? And I'm like, no. And so in that scenario, I suddenly thought, hey, maybe I can try something I've never tried. I might like it. I mean, I think that's different. Do you know what I mean? To just like, because sometimes we just say no, like, because it's something we don't know about.
Yeah.
But, so lots of possibilities.
But that was a
here.
question. Have you ever tried it?
Yes. Lots of possibilities.
Yeah.
All right. We love you. Fasten your seatbelt.
We're out of here.
We're out of here.